practicing is important. Also, listening to music is important. I tend to listen to the music I'm practicing because I feel like that's a very important part in getting to know your piece better, and that's important in learning how to actually play it.
This is a special episode of Contrabass Conversations. I'm your host, Jason Heath, and we are chatting today with Haruki Gonai. Now, Marcel Villaflor, who's the treasurer for the International Society of Bassists, I'm on the board of directors with him. He plays in the Yonkers Philharmonic, and he came to me about a month ago and said, we just had, for the first time in the history of the Yonkers Philharmonic's concerto competition, I think it's 50 years of this competition, we had a bass player win one of the prizes. And what if we did some sort of profile on him? Maybe I could do something for the podcast. Maybe we could do something with the International Society of Bassists. So that is what today's episode is. Hopefully the first of many like this. Haruki is a junior in high school. He is going to be performing in mid-May of 2018, the Koussevitzky Concerto, and another idea from Marcel and the other folks on the ISB board. We've been working on this, and very cool detail, he's actually going to be playing the Koussevitzky Concerto on the Karr-Koussevitzky bass, that wonderful bass known as the Amati for so many years that Gary Karr performed most of his career on. So we talk about this, we talk about Haruki's studies, much more. I really hope you enjoy this conversation with Haruki Gonai. And I'd like to thank, before we dive in, our sponsors, D'Addario Strings, Upton Bass, and A440. This is a super short episode, so just giving them a shout out here. Thanks for keeping the podcast going, guys. Really appreciate it. And here's our conversation with Haruki Gonai. So you are performing Koussevitzky coming up this spring, is that right?
Oh, yeah. As part of winning the Yonkers Concerto competition, I'm going to be performing the Koussevitzky Concerto, the first two movements, with the Yonkers Philharmonic Orchestra in May.
In May. Okay, cool. Well, congratulations, first of all. That's very cool. And then I know Marcel Villaflor and some other folks at the International Society of Bassists, they've been talking to you about playing on the Karr-Koussevitzky bass. Are you going to are you going to be doing that?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay. That's great. Well, congratulations on that too. It's pretty cool to be able to play that piece with that bass, and Gary Karr played it so many times on that bass. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's still unbelievable to me that, I will be getting this opportunity.
Yeah, you'll have a blast. Now, have you rehearsed the piece with the orchestra yet?
Yeah, I have. I have rehearsed it once.
Okay.
Tuesday of last week, and starting then, well, I'm going to be rehearsing every Tuesday, the orchestra until the performance.
Okay. Was that the first time you'd played with orchestra? Played a concerto or anything like that with orchestra?
Well, there was one time in my freshman year of high school, which was 2 years ago, when I performed Kol Nidre by Brooke with my school's chamber orchestra.
Okay, so you've been up there in that role before with orchestra. When you were doing that Kol Nidre, what was surprising to you about playing with orchestra? Because I remember my first time, I won my high school concerto competition and got up there and played it, and I was not expecting it to feel like it did. Was there anything surprising about it when you got up there and performed or started working on Kol Nidre?
Certainly, it was different from playing with a piano accompanist. I felt like I had to project more, and also, when I was playing with the piano, it was much easier to, tell the pianist what tempo I wanted, what, how exactly I wanted the piece to, go. But with the orchestra, I thought it was much harder to, I don't really want to say control, but, collaborate with the orchestra in order to, play the piece I wanted to go.
Yeah, it's so many more moving parts, right? And you're chatting with the conductor, but it kind of feels like this large contraption versus the piano. It feels so much more nimble just rehearsing with that.
Yeah.
Now you are currently studying with Linda McKnight, is that right?
Well, no.
Okay.
I studied with Linda McKnight from when I was in 8th grade to 9th grade.
Okay.
And then she retired from teaching at Manhattan School of Music Pre-College, where I study. And so my current teacher is Carlos Barriento, and I've been studying with him for 2 years now.
Great. When did you start playing bass?
Well, when I was in 5th grade, I decided to make the transition from playing violin to bass. And yeah, it was a huge transition, but I didn't look back on the violin when I touched the bass. Yeah, it just happened like that.
So how old were you when you started violin? Were you pretty young?
I was in 3rd grade, so
Okay.
I think I was 9 when I started violin, and I started bass when I was 11.
Okay. It's probably hard to remember back to 5th grade, why you would do. But do you remember why you wanted to make the switch?
Well, I feel like everyone, in my grade, basically everyone was playing either violin, viola, or cello, and there were no bassists. So I thought maybe it would be interesting to play, a completely different instrument from what everyone's playing. And so I guess that was one of the reasons why I switched.
So, who was your very first bass teacher? Were you taking private lessons in those early years when you switched over to bass?
Well, a year after I started playing the bass. So in 6th grade, I started studying with my first private teacher. His name is Rob Flans.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he teaches in Westchester County. And I studied with him from 6th grade to 7th grade. And at the end of 7th grade, I auditioned for Manhattan School of Music Pre-College. And then I started studying with Linda McKnight there the following year.
Okay. And what a great program. Congratulations on getting connected with that program. I've heard so many great things about the Manhattan School Pre-College. What are some of your favorite things about being associated with a program like that? Like the ensembles, the teachers, the other students? What do you enjoy about going there and taking lessons and studying?
Well, I can definitely say that when I'm there, on Saturdays, I feel at home. Every week, during the school week, I look forward to Saturdays and coming there. I have many friends there now, and yeah, it's very interesting. It's another day of school, but it's very fun.
Totally.
Yeah, and everything is very structured and organized. There I get to take ear training classes and music theory classes, and I've learned so much more than I could have imagined. And the orchestra there is very good. It's I play with people who have the same interests as me, and it's very hard to describe, but it's very interesting. I definitely do not regret coming there.
Yeah, it's amazing how that can sort of be your second home. I remember when I joined the youth orchestra in my area, just all of a sudden, and it was the same thing on Saturdays, and I felt like those were my people. it was just so nice. Can you take us through a day at the Manhattan School of Music Pre-College, that Saturday? Do you start with theory? Do you start with orchestra? Do you have bass sectionals? What's that schedule look like on Saturdays?
All right. So on Saturdays, I wake up around 6:30 a.m. and by 8 a.m. I'm out the door. And around 9 a.m. Well, actually by 8:30 a.m. I'm at MSM. And 9 a.m. is when my first class starts, and that's bass ensemble. So at the beginning of the day, I'm playing with other bass players, and it's essentially a chamber group. But then my next class, then I have my lesson. I study with Carlos Barriento. And then afterwards I have theory and then ear training. And then after that I have orchestra. So I would say that the people I'm around during the day are very groups of people I'm around during the day are very different. At one point during the day I'm with bass players. Another point of the day I'm with people who play in orchestra, and then during music theory and ear training, I might be with pianists, jazz musicians, you know, like a whole like different group of people from, I'll be with in orchestra or my bass ensemble class.
Yeah. Wow. What are you thinking of? So you're a junior now, right? Rounding out your junior year. What are you thinking about for the future? Are you thinking music? Are you thinking something else? Are you thinking what are your thoughts right here? I know it's hard to predict the future, but what are you thinking about post high school?
Well, I definitely do intend on continuing music on like the bass. I can't really give a definite answer right now as to specific plans, but
you want to keep that bass in there somehow, part of your life somehow, whether major or otherwise. Okay, very cool.
Definitely.
Well, so I don't know if you've done this before, but I remember when I was in high school, I had a couple of times where I would go into some of the elementary schools and demonstrate the instrument and sort of show people what I like about bass. Have you done anything like that yet? Like get up in front of young? Yeah. Well, what do you like about the bass? So what do you tell young people is cool about the bass?
Well, every other Tuesday I go to my elementary school and so I basically tutor bass players and cellists there. And, well, in addition to teaching them and, helping them with their own music, I, demonstrate playing occasionally. And I basically tell them that they should keep playing and, don't quit music, essentially. And that, practicing is important. Also, listening to music is important.
What do you? I'm just curious. What do you listen to music wise, classical or otherwise? What are some things on your on your playlists?
Well, I listen to a variety of things. But I guess classical music is the biggest part of that. Particularly, I tend to listen to the music I'm playing or I'm practicing in order to, because I feel like that's in a very important part in getting to know your piece better, and that's important in learning how to actually play it.
Mm-hmm. You go to YouTube, you go to Spotify. What do you? I'm asking for myself too, because I'm always trying to figure out what's best for me.
Yeah. The only thing I've used to listen to music is YouTube. So yeah.
But it's remarkable what you could find. You could find, you're playing a Prokofiev symphony or something. You can find 5 different versions and.
Yeah.
Oh. What else are you into outside of music? Do you do anything like sports or reading, hiking? What else are you into?
Well, for the first 2 years of high school, I used to run for my school. I was on the cross country team, winter track team, and spring track. But I mean, as my classes started to become more difficult, I ended up dropping those, and then dropping my sports.
Okay.
And then other than sports, I participate on my school's math team, which I enjoy math and science a lot. So I'm also, in addition to playing the bass, I'm intending to do that in college. So
Okay. And it's so I remember back to when I was in high school, or I teach a lot of high school students, and just how busy you could be. So you got math team, you got classes, you're going to Manhattan School every Saturday. How the heck? And so you won. You got one of the prizes. Which prize did you get for the Yonkers Philharmonic? How many people did they take for the concerto competition?
Oh, how many winners did they have?
Yeah.
Well, they had 5 winners, and I was actually in 5th place.
Okay, so to win something like that, not just a bass competition, but a competition open to all instruments, that's just a huge thing. So congratulations on that. And the first bass player in the history of Yonkers Philharmonic, right, to win that. So that's super cool.
Oh, thank you.
How the heck did you fit in practice time with Manhattan School and school and all that? Like after school, I just love to know like how you did that because that's a huge thing to get fifth place in this competition. In addition to everything else you're doing, how was your practice time look like?
Well, with schoolwork and all that, like, it may seem difficult to, like, fit in practice time, but, it is certainly manageable. Like, for me, I, like, the month leading up to the competition, I made, like, a schedule for myself that, like, I would practice, like, a certain amount of hours per week. Yeah, and I thought that was very achievable because it was so structured. And at Manhattan School, like, whenever I had free time, in between my classes, for example, I would just, spend that time practicing. And, like, when I wasn't near my bass, I would just, like, spend that time listening to the Koussevitzky and, like, different versions of the Koussevitzky in order to, like, hear, like, what sounds good and what doesn't. And, like, understand the piece better for me to perform it.
Do you have any favorite performers or recordings that you listen to of the Koussevitzky?
Well, the first recording that I ever listened to of the Koussevitzky is the one by, well, I'm probably not going to pronounce his name correctly, but
that's okay.
Like Rinat Ibragimov.
Yeah, the London, is he the London Symphony principal bass? Yeah, wonderful player.
Yeah, that was the first recording I listened to, and that's one that I, like, continue to listen to, like, basically every day now.
Okay. What did you practice? So making that structured practice schedule, that's fantastic. What were you practicing just the Koussevitzky? Were you practicing technique and then the Koussevitzky? Like how did you structure your practice time?
Well, when I first started learning the Koussevitzky, well, I first, like, wrote in, like, all the fingerings that I think I would use. And so, I mean, to get the actual notes in place first. And then after I had done that, I started thinking about like, like what stylistically makes sense. Like, where should I use vibrato? And then I changed my fingerings around in order to, like, achieve, the goals I had. Well, achieve the, stylistic approach I wanted to get. And then, at a later point in time, I started recording myself and then listening to it and then, like, basically, like, noticing things, in my playing that I wouldn't have noticed, as I was playing. And so, based on that, I made, more corrections, and, I kept doing that process, and then, in order to, like, further refine my playing of the concerto.
Okay. Do you write in a lot of fingerings? I'm always playing around with this for myself and with students. Do you go through and write in fingerings for every single note when you're starting to work on a piece like Koussevitzky?
Yeah, definitely. In addition to fingerings, I, like, write in, well, dynamics, bowings. Like, basically, like, if you look at my like, sheet music for the Koussevitzky, it'll just everything, like, every like, there will be no blank space because everything is covered with my writing. And, yeah, I just write in everything that I possibly can.
Yeah, I did the same exact thing. I remember going back to when I was your age. I have my own Koussevitzky copy, and I have, like, dynamics. I would circle the most important note in the phrase that I thought, and it's amazing to look at that. Okay, cool. So that's part of your process too. Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm in the loop on the Koussevitzky bass. So congratulations on getting that. It's an interesting bass to play for sure. Yeah. I did a recital on that bass about 12 years ago, and I had to, I play kind of close to the bridge, but I had to play so much closer to the bridge on that bass than I typically do to get it to sort of wake up. But then when it wakes up, it's this amazing sound. So you'll have a blast with that. Oh yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you, Haruki. So great to chat with you. Good luck in the performance. So excited for that. And I can't wait to see what happens in your career. And hopefully we'll chat again soon for the podcast. And hopefully we'll do more episodes like this. More and more bass players, as Marcel pointed out to me, are winning concerto competitions. And what a cool opportunity to do what we're doing here with the ISB, getting Haruki set up with the Karr-Koussevitzky bass. We're featuring him here on the podcast. So hopefully this is the first of many high school features and my first high school student interview ever, I think. So very cool. I love exploring new territory with this podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed this. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, go to contrabassconversations.com/subscribe. Contrabass Conversations is produced by Michael Cooper, Steve Hinchy, Trevor Jones, and Mitch Mooring. And if you're looking for a double bass, Mitch is making beautiful instruments in the Dallas area. Learn more at mitchmooring.com. I am your host, Jason Heath, coming to you each and every week from San Francisco, California, and we will see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.